Hello everyone, my name is Christian, and in today's video I'll present to you some good practices when working in Excel with Power Query. Power Query is a great tool, but sometimes working with it, especially with PDF files, might get overwhelming. Today I'll show you some good practices that you can implement when working with data in Power Query. This will make dealing with messy data easier and more interesting. Let's get it started. Here I have prepared a table, and the first good practice that I would recommend is to explore the data. So whenever you load the data and you get to the Power Query editor, just move around a little bit and explore your table, get some food for thought and warm up your creativity. Because by moving around you could get some ideas for easier cleaning of your data. So for instance, here we can see that we have two columns for the quantities, but it seems that where one column has content, the other one doesn't, and vice versa. So here the easiest way to deal is just to merge these two columns. So you could just select them and merge without any separator. Here as well, you can see that position number that are missing are incremental here. So the value from row 11 would be position number 11, then 12, 13, 14, and so on. So here the easiest solution would be just to add a new index custom column that starts with 1. So this new column would easily replace the original one without a big fuss. Another good practice I would recommend is to use the correct data types. So for instance, here, this merge column that is actually the column with the quantities is right now formatted as a text, and the total value of the items from this table is formatted as a decimal number. So right now, if we want to divide the total number by the quantity to get the price for the unit, we won't be able. So we have to format it as a whole number or as a decimal number, and only afterwards we will be able to divide these two columns. Another useful thing with using the right data type, you can see here for the date column, this number 40461 means a date. So if we change the type of this column to date, then we actually get a valid dating here. But here we get some errors because here we have a text and not a number. But that's a good thing because later on we can work with these errors. We could replace the errors with the value that we need. So using the correct data types will not only allow us to do some calculations, but will also help us to clean the data from our tables. Another good practice I would recommend is to use formula bar for exploring the applied steps. If you don't have it, you could go to View and check the formula bar. So even though you might not be familiar with the coding language of Power Query, which is called M code, it is a still good idea to have this formula bar visible, because having it visible, you'll get used to this type of code, and sooner or later you'll be able to make some changes directly in the formula and not going to this applied step list where you have to click on the gear and do the changes this way. So for instance, for this last change type step, we can see that we changed the type for the date column, and the type of the data is date. So for instance, if we change this thing to text, then our column is formatted as a text. If we change, for instance, the name from here, from date to quantity, then the quantity column had suffered a change type. So you don't have to know a lot of coding, but at one point you'll get used and it will be easier for you to write here the changes for your steps. Another good practice would be to rename your columns, rename your transforming steps, rename your query. So whenever you add a new column, for instance, make sure to rename it properly. Also, if you don't like the name of your query, or if there is a better calling for it, you could change the name from here. Also, as I told you previously, you could understand what each transforming step does by reading the formula bar. So here, for the change type 1, even though we don't have a very descriptive name or we don't have a description for it, by looking onto the formula bar, we can see that the column that we were transforming is the quantity, and the data type that we were transforming was to an integer. But if you're not comfortable with reading the formula bar, make sure that you change the name of the steps, or you could also right click on the step, click on properties, and here you could write a description for it. Renaming will make your life much easier, so make sure that you apply it. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll implement these good practices to your work. If you enjoyed the tutorial, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share with me your thoughts in the comment section down below. See you next time.